funding where people can choose a project. It tells you what the goal is, what percentage is funded, the rest. It can be goods or money. So if it was goods, I would put up here needed 24 tablets for my kids at Holy Trinity, Southside Chicago. So they can access the internet, they can access Bible content, they can do better at school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's a home ministry of my church out there. And now we're at Holy Trinity serving our community and our kids. Regardless if you're Lutheran or not, you're just our kids. The possibilities are endless, aren't they? But the digital is the enabler. Doesn't stop me from picking up the phone, calling some churches and saying, hey, I need laptops. So you're on Great Barrington, collect them this Sunday for me. Because everyone's got them hanging around, they're not using them. I'll have to pick them up. Or you can do crowdsourcing. It's really pretty cool.
The ultimate goal of this obviously is faith formation, but our earlier conversation is our hope and our prayers that the nuns and the duns and the nuns will eventually be so inspired that they would come back to our churches?
See, I think so. So like the parent webinar example, like on the Holy Trinity site, I use this language, and I don't know what the right language is. I'm learning how to do this just like all of you are. But the language I used was, where's my Holy Trinity? Look what we've got for families, brought to you by the Holy Trinity Faith Community. A service of, okay? So what I want to do is, if I can build a relationship with you through a parent webinar, through our internet lab, our computer lab, if I can build a relationship, now we can have a conversation. If I've got older adults mentoring younger kids, or younger kids mentoring older adults, we now have a conversation we can have. So by broadening my campus, I'm building a relationship with the not affiliated, the spiritual but not religious, and the low-hanging fruit here is the occasionals. That's the low-hanging fruit. Can I bump you from 1 week to 2 weeks a month? Can I get you a little more engaged along the continuum? So my strategy isn't to get people in the door, but building a relationship helps people come in the door. And I want to build a relationship with people. See, our problem with the unaffiliated and the spiritual non-religious is not that they've left the church, it's that we have no relationship. I can't get you back without a relationship. In many ways, I said this the other day, in many ways, the church has left them, they haven't left the church. So I want to rebuild the relationship. Maybe unaffiliated who have just turned their back, they're not ready, but certainly the spiritual but not religious, spiritually open, the occasionals, those are all opportunities sitting there. But I have to start in their world before they'll be in my world. Or I want my world to be their world. See, we have to just take this experimental, innovative mindset and say, we're going to try lots of different things and see what works. Because if we knew what worked, we'd be doing it. So I know the digital platform, I know we have to do that. That we have to use social media connected to digital platforms. We have to expand our campus, build it around people, address their life-centered needs as well as their spiritual needs and faith needs, all of those things. We've got to do all that stuff. So I know we got to do those things. What of those things will work in my community? I don't know. But I want to learn.
Much of what you talk about is geared to the congregation. And from your work, because I know you work with national judicatories, what are examples of what judicatories are doing, good, positive models in this area of faith formation? I mean, part of our role as a church body is to equip synods and congregations, but we don't always have direct contact relationship with the congregations.
A little harder at the national level. So the national level, people can be really great curators, great connectors of best practices. But if I was at a synod level, I want to create little hubs of innovation in my synod. So let's pretend I'm in the Nebraska Synod because it's so darn big. Right? I want to create some pockets of innovation where the Synod staff is the catalyst for some of the stuff to happen. So even as a Synod staff member, maybe I'm a Faith Formation Synod staff person. I don't need to know all of this stuff because I can always bring somebody in via webinar to instruct people. So what if I had a little cluster in Kearney, Nebraska, of 3 or 4 churches within 20 minutes, half hour of Kearney, and we're all working on family faith formation and a family digital site. Maybe it's one site that we all share and participate in. And we're going to try get some leverage there. They got another group in Omaha, and we're going to target adult faith formation, or maybe young adult. Okay. So I started to develop these little hubs where I'm the catalyst. I'm kind of a facilitator. I don't have to be the content expert. We have to really get over being content experts. I can bring in the content expert whenever I need him or her. And that's what National Office can help us do. But I want to start getting people to start experimenting. What Breen Sipes did in Tri-Saints, I want to populate a couple of dozen of those examples. And then as a Synod person, I want to connect people to Breen, not to me, about how to do the worship thing. Connect them to Steve, and how did you do that adult faith formation thing? So if I see this as a 3-year process, it's innovation hubs, be a catalyst, facilitate, provide the training, bring experts in, helps them develop innovative approaches, monitor it, evaluate them, scale them up, share them as best practices. What I try to do, and it's very hard for me to do, but if I was in a synod or diocese, it'd be a lot easier. And that's get, in quotes, like teaching hospitals, teaching parishes, teaching churches. Where you can go and say, okay, how are you doing this? And the people who are doing it become the mentors for the next group of people who want to learn how to do it. I would say that would be my wave of innovation. Very simple. I don't have to be an expert on all this stuff because I can always bring the experts in digitally.
John, just to build off what you said, so in our office, this idea that we have 9,500 congregations roughly that are all doing different things. But how can we learn from what the experiments that they're running so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel? So in places where they're doing things and it's working, getting the word out to other places, hey, this worked over here, you might want to think about this. Or these folks ran this experiment, it didn't work. And being a place where that information can flow back and forth.
If I'm on national staff, I want to build on it. If I'm on national staff, one of the what we don't have a lot of information on are what are effective practices in this new model. If I'm on national staff, I want to be doing some research. I want to connect people who are doing good things. I want to research what are the effective practices and build an effective practice database online. So everyone can start seeing, this is what works with families, children. We just don't have access to that. And we don't have research studies that look at effective practices in lifelong faith formation, congregational life, that kind of. No one's doing that research. So constantly people are kind of innovating in the dark. We need to have a better database of some research-tested, evidence-based approaches that say, hey, these things work. If I'm in a national office, maybe I target 5 synods and say, we're going to want to work with you. We're going to help you develop those hubs. Then we're going to want to research how this works and monitor it so we can publish that data for the national. Our roles have to change, and quickly, to be honest with you. They have to change, because we have to be really initiators of innovation. See what's working and be able to distribute that widely.
Do you see some of that happening, say, through like Virginia Theological and their center and Vibrant Faith and some of the freelance entities?
No.
Okay.
Not that it couldn't happen, but I don't see it happening yet. And the problem is, I think people want to develop these evidence-based approaches, but it takes time to really work this out. And it's really very helpful to have a constituency where you can pilot these new approaches and get feedback. That's really what adjudicatory has, is a network. And I don't think we use it to our best advantage.
Well, we've been this one spent a year and a half of gathering what we hear our experts doing in ministry around the country, and they're the ones that are just doing stuff. They're getting guys together in they do things that are no one else in the church is doing. We had a group in Reno. They had the home invasion when they go and pray and support men who lost a job, lost a relative, having a divorce. And by having our first meeting, a gentleman in North Carolina heard about it, and he's just taking that, imitating it, and innovating it on top of that.
Yes.
And that's, we're at the point now where we're about to go online with our website, but rather than research and having quantitative numbers, we'll have more than qualitative of stories to share. So,
See, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. Because then that instigates more innovation. See, my goal, whether it was a synod, diocese, national office, I want to spur innovation. I want to learn quickly. I want to fail quickly. I want to learn quickly and keep going, because that's what we desperately need today if we're going to address these adaptive challenges. I'm aware that it's 2:30. Other questions before we break? I hope this has been helpful in terms of what's the big picture and then what are some ways in. If you go online, so a couple of resources to look at. Again, the lifelong faith. Where'd it go? I know where it went. But I have a website built around just this content. It's called Reimagine Faith Formation. You can access it directly, just call it Reimagine Faith Formation. And as you see in the menus, it's just built around the content what we're doing today. Lots of examples of churches doing this. I put those on the Lifelong Faith website as well. So if you want to see some churches that are doing things, just go to presentations, and I've listed some churches. If you scroll down, there's even more listed as you go down. But you'll find examples here as well. So the Reimagine Faith Formation website is a great follow-up to this. There's content on here. And then around that content issue, I built a website that just has a good starter list of content that you might find helpful in building these sites. It's something called a Curating Faith Formation. But it's got content in all those areas connected to where that exists on other websites. So when people build a website, they always say, well, where's the resources? So I built this website with links to where those resources are. So it's on the way towards helping people do that. We're just starting on this, but anything you can do to spur innovation, try new approaches, pilot things, develop the evidence-based approaches is just priceless, absolutely priceless. Because that's the database of information we do not have yet. Well, thanks for coming on a snowy day. Not a pile-up snow day, but a snowy day nonetheless. If you're on Lifelong Faith, you want to join the mailing list, you'll get an email from me. If you have questions, just go to Lifelong Faith and click on Contact. All the email goes to the only staff member at Lifelong Faith. So you're guaranteed to get it to me. And my email address is also on the handout. So
Right to the president.
it goes right to the president. When can you go right to the president? Unless it's a day when he's the mailing department, or when he's in the web design department, and I go from different departments. It's not boring when you're the sole staff member, So, but a pleasure. Thanks for being part of the day.